Well, it's a rainy day in Wisconsin here, but look what we just picked up. This thing is pretty cool. This is a 1985 Suzuki Lt250r. So this is the first year of the Lt250s. It was in pretty decent shape actually. That's the rear plastics, of course. But this thing is pretty modded out. There's a lot of aftermarket parts. There's a lot of stuff done to the engine. And currently, it does not run. So the owner of this machine said that he bought it from his father-in-law, who was the original owner. He used to take it to the sand dunes and rip it around. So that's the guy that did all the mods to it. I guess the father-in-law sold it to the seller for 2,500 bucks in non-running condition. The seller put another 800 bucks into the top end. I guess he put a new piston in there. And he was able to ride it for a couple hours, he said. And then all of a sudden, the coolant line was spilling out coolant and it would not start back up, and that's kind of when he parked it and let it sit. So he doesn't really know what's going on with it. He doesn't really work on quads. He said that problem happened, he let it sit, posted it up for sale, and that's kind of the story on this one. So it could be a couple different things. I'm thinking it may be overheated. The compression feels a little bit low. It's pretty easy to kick over. So either there's a problem with the head gasket where it's losing compression, or something with the piston or cylinder. But I ended up paying 1,500 bucks for this thing. The seller actually had this listed at $3,000 and came down a couple times. I think he was down to 2,000, and then I finally offered 1,500 bucks, and he said come get it. So I probably still paid a little bit too much for it, but with all the aftermarket parts and mods done to the engine, hopefully it will be worth it in the end when we get this thing up, running and driving, which is the goal for today. So let's go through this thing, get this thing off the truck, and we'll see what's going on with it. Hopefully, we can get this thing up, running and driving by the end of the video. That is the goal. Oh, and this thing also came with a couple sets of wheels here. Some paddle tires for the sand. So a whole set of those. Alright, a little walk around to this thing. I mean, if those back plastics were nice, this thing would be a really clean unit. Look at these headlights on here. Those are pretty funny. So this guy must have raced it. There's the FMF pipe on there. Yeah, everything looks pretty nice. Key hin, extended swing arm, extended rear axle. That's got to be at least 2 inches extended. Not a bad looking quad at all. Wheels are pretty nice. I'm guessing these are aftermarket, or he just had them chromed. The A-arms. And this thing actually comes with a title because it's from California. In Wisconsin we don't have titles for quads, but this one came with a title from the original owner, so that's pretty cool. So yeah, let's get this thing in the garage and we'll start digging into this one. We got this thing in the garage. Let's kind of start going through it. So the first thing I'm going to do is read the list of mods that were done to it based on what the seller had from his father-in-law. So he said they added a performance pipe and silencer, FMF Gold Series Fatty, carburation upgrade with a more efficient unit, 38mm Keihin PWK flat side carb that improves throttle response and top end power is what he said. There's a clutch upgrade, replacing the clutch basket and plates with high performance units, and the motor definitely had work down on it from a racing company and the sticker is on the engine. We'll have to look for that. I'm thinking they put it out and had a piston kit along with the reeds and intakes. I'm confused on why the bike is not running, possibly carburation, jets. The carb is nice with little hours. The rear end is also modified a great deal wider for flat track racing, and the racing extended swing arm is to increase the wheelbase for better stability. So that's pretty much all I know about it. And then looking around the quad, there's obviously a bunch of other aftermarket parts, but those are the big ones. So the seller said there's new grips on it. Bars, it looks like. And then obviously the headlights are aftermarket. All the cooling lines are aftermarket. Plastics are aftermarket. Seat cover is aftermarket. Wheels are aftermarket. Pretty much everything on this thing is aftermarket. Pipe is, chain is. These are aftermarket here. So the owner definitely stuck a lot of money into this thing. So I'm going to show you guys the compression right now. You kick it over, there's absolutely zero compression. So I'm guessing that's the problem right there. He said coolant was spurting out of one of these lines. It's this one right here. It looks like there's some electrical tape wrapped around there holding that tight. So maybe that's where it was shooting coolant from. Not too sure. But let's go ahead and check the oil first. Oil is right here. See if there's anything in there. There was pressure in there. That should not be happening. So when I took the plug out, there's actually pressure built up in the case. So is the breather line from the case clogged? That could cause a bunch of issues. But this thing takes 900 milliliters of oil. You can see stamped in the case right there. Let's see if there's anything in there. And then there's a check bolt right there. All right, let's check the oil. See what that looks like here. Wonder what kind of clutch is in there. It's hard to see. Let's check it down here. It's hard to get in there with the clutch. Check bolt here. Oh yeah. So it looks like brand new oil. It's really clear. Yep. So oil looks brand new. Definitely filled up to the correct amount as well. We're on the left side of the quad. You can see the breather line here. It's a pretty small breather line. Ooh, yeah, it looks like the end is plugged up there, doesn't it? Let's take that off and see if we can blow through it. Oh, it's really, really hard to blow through, so definitely partially clogged. Yeah, so we're gonna blow that out. You can see the end of it is definitely clogged there. Look, there's something in there. Clogging that out. Alright, blew through that. This is what it should sound like. So that's not clogged any longer. Let's get that back installed. So that probably wasn't helping anything. Let's get this flame seat off of here. This is a High Flight USA seat on here, it says. Seat looks pretty nice. I don't think there's any rips in it. Oh yeah, that little one right there. But that's it. And then obviously it's faded a little bit. I don't really like the seat. I'd probably change that. And then here the plastics are broken here. Let's quick take these off. We might be able to plastic weld those. I'd rather buy new ones. There we go, get those out of the way. So it looks like an aftermarket grab bar on there. Here's a battery. It looks like a homemade battery box. That broke at one point. That was supposed to be up there. And that was supposed to be bolted there. So this is the positive wire going in. Here was the negative going to the frame. So I'm guessing these lights would work. And then here's a switch for the lights, I'm guessing. That doesn't seem to be working at all. But the lights are kind of cool. Kind of getting used to those now. We'll have to see what's going on with those, but we can actually get this battery out of here. See if that'll charge up. There's actually a fuse in here too. There's no acid left in that battery, so that's junk. Zip ties off of here. So this was supposed to go to here, like that, to hold that battery box on. Air filter. Canon air filter on there. Looks pretty rough. It's all dented in. Looks really dirty. Let's take that off right away. See how bad that is. So these air filters without the sleeve on it can really suck in a lot of dirt and sand, a lot more than the foam filters. So these are fine for like road use, but once you get into the dirt, the sand, that can wreck an engine really quick. So I always recommend the foam filters and an air box if you can. But yeah, that's probably why the top end went the first time, because the seller said he had to put a new top end in. So I'm guessing that was the reason for that. It does look like it's a flat sided carb here. Look at the slide. So that's definitely an aftermarket carb on there. Let's see if the throttle's working. We've got a twist throttle. Pretty cool. Yeah, that's working good. Let's go ahead and take off the plastics here. Try to get to that radiator, see how low that coolant is. Must be Couple of those fins are damaged here. I wonder if that leaks at all. So this went up to the switch for the lights. Looks like this is the original headlight right there. A bunch of wires here. Not sure what those are for. Looks like it's aftermarket. And this is a tether switch. We've got yellow and black and white going up to the tether. So that's connected. All right, that looks good. What are the other wires for though? Let's see, we've got white. That must just be for lights. Must have been for another headlight. Yeah, that's just going to the headlights. So really the only ones that matter are the yellow and black and white. Going up to the tether switch there. So that all looks good. Do the brakes work? Yep, brakes appear to be working. Let's see if the rear brake works. Yep, that works too. And that's all chromed out too. All right, gas cap looks a little rough. Lots of rust on there. Looks like the breather was maybe clogged up too. So maybe this thing ran lean due to that too. Ooh. It looks like there's a lot of water in the gas. It's all white. Let's get a sample of that. I wonder if this thing sat outside for a while. I mean, obviously it's raining now, but I don't think that much water could have gotten through the gas cap there, through that tiny hole that was clogged. Doesn't look great. I know that. That looks really bad. Wait until you guys see that. That's a little rough, I would say. Look at the water in there. That's crazy. I don't think I've ever seen gas that bad before in a machine. I'm sure some of it was due to it's sitting out in the rain here. But I mean, that's a lot of water in there. That's been like that for a while. Plus we saw the rust on the gas tank cap. That looks nasty. That out completely. That is really bad. Let's go ahead and take off the gas tank completely. Get that dumped out. Get all that gas cleared out. Let's see, is the petcock on? Petcock is currently on, great. Yeah. Turn that off. That's stuck. Yeah, this thing wasn't running for a while, I don't think. There's the off position. Gas line going to the gas tank was loose on there. It's another reason this thing could have been running lean. If it was ever running. Alright, let's take a peek here. So we're looking for any coolant coming out of the head gasket area. It's hard to tell because everything has rainwater on it. There's the carb. It looks like a new base gasket on there. You can see the green gasket. Oh, here's a stamp on the head. That must be who worked on the engine. Can't really see what it reads here. We'll have to take off the head. I can't tell. So it says something research. Not really able to read it. CMM research. I can't read the first couple letters there. But that's the tag that was on the head. So I'm guessing they did pour into it and big board it. There's another little tag there. I'm guessing there was definitely work done to it. Alright, let's check inside the radiator, see if there's any coolant left. She's pretty dry in there. That is for sure. Take a flashlight, take a peek. On the inside there. Let's see if you guys can see it. Little flakes of dried up coolant everywhere. See that? So let's go ahead and fill that up and just see where it's leaking from. Looks like it's leaking right from the head gasket. Look, there's a puddle underneath here. What the heck is going on there? Yeah, look. Look at the head gasket. Are these loose on here? What is going on? That coolant's just leaking everywhere from the head gasket. Well, we found our leak. Yeah, it's leaking like crazy. All around the head gasket. So head gasket must be junk on this thing. Primarily leaking from this side. Check over here. Yeah, not leaking from this side a whole lot. So I'm wondering if it got hot and warped the head. Hopefully not. Or if it just got hot and wrecked that head gasket. I do not know. But at least we found the problem right away. Let's go ahead and get the spark plug out next and see if we have any spark on this thing. Let's get this drained the rest of the way out here. So let's see. Maybe coolant wasn't circulating properly because you said it overheated, so. Got all of it. Plug back in here. So there's quite a bit of coolant in there. That wasn't all I put in, so there was still some coolant left in the machine. All right, let's get the plug out of here. This should tell us a lot. Plug boot looks good. See if the spark plug was tight in there. Yep, it was tight. Go on there. Let's see, is the tip of the plug damaged? I hope not. Nope. Looks like it was running fairly decent too. Pretty chocolatey brown. That is odd. You know, we could get lucky. It could just be like a head gasket problem. I doubt it, but it could be. All right, let's go ahead and just check for spark here. See if we're getting anything. Ready? Oh yeah, there's spark. Look at that. Good spark. So definitely consistent blue spark. Let's just feel if there's any compression coming out of here. Oh, there's a little bit. Trying to blow my thumb off. So there's a little compression. Let's take a camera and take a look down there. I'm hoping it's not all scratched up here. All right, let's see what we're dealing with. What do you guys think? This should be interesting. Ooh, piston looks pretty darn good too. There's the piston. There we go. So piston, let's see what size. It looks like a 534M07050. So I think it's 70. Is that 70 millimeter? There's a number up here too. 7037C. Ooh, a little bit of scoring there. It's kind of glazed over. Same with there. Yeah, it's not looking too hot in there. Definitely looks like it got hot. Look at right over here is where it got really hot. Let's see if we can get over there. Right there. That's the spot. That's bad. That looks like the rings got melted onto the cylinder wall there. See that? So something got hot. So that's not great. That's definitely the worst part of it. See that? So I'm guessing those rings are completely stuck to the piston. That's my guess. What we're gonna do is a quick compression test, just see what the compression's at. I'm just kind of curious. And then we are going to start tearing this thing down, because obviously there's some problems going on with the head gasket, possibly the head, and possibly the cylinder. All right, let's see what compression's at. guessing it's at like 30 psi. Would be my guess. Just see, we can do throttle open. Doesn't hurt at this point. All right, we're looking for over 100, but obviously we're not gonna have that. So let's see what we get. Throttle open. It's just leaking right out. It's not holding any compression either. So we are at like 25 psi. So that would obviously be our problem. So I'm guessing the compression isn't holding because of the head gasket issue. And the compression's low because of the overheating issue. I'm gonna quick show you guys the gas tank and what was in there. Let's quick take a peek. Not good. All right, let's try to get the pipe off next. Should be able to get the pipe off now. Look what came out of the pipe. Weird. It's like a whole pile of carbon. Let's go ahead and get the carb off right away. And we'll measure this as well later on and go through that. See what the heck caused this thing to run lean. Because it got hot for some reason. Carb does look pretty much brand new though. Like I said before, the throttle is working good. Alright, put the carb off to the side. Head off next. So are any of these loose? It doesn't really feel like it. Why would it be leaking so badly from the head? I mean, they're not very tight. I mean, those are just hand tight. So those were not torqued down correctly at all. So I don't know, whoever rebuilt it maybe didn't torque it down correctly. You can see there's rust on the studs here. So I think water was getting to it. See rust all over the bolts and nuts. And that could just be from the coolant sitting there for so long. All right, here we go. Let's see. It's the head damage. A couple little scratches here. What would that be from? You can see there's like big gouges going around in a ring there. I don't know what that would be from. Alright, let's see what the gasket looks like. Alright, here's the head gasket. Let's see what's going on with that. Doesn't look that bad. Was it too big for it? Let's put it back on and see. No, that's the right size. A little damage there to it. I'm not seeing any coolant in the piston area either. I wonder if it was just damaged from the outside, so it was leaking out and not in. Because I don't see any coolant in by the piston. I mean, it's not great, but we might be able to get away with a hone. No? Good honing. Ooh, over on this side is rough. This is the side that's a little bit rougher. See that? So that's not great. I can see some flakes of something there. Looks like maybe piston ring. There's the top of the piston. Looks really good. All right, let's go ahead and try to get the cylinder off next. Crack the nuts down here. So these were torqued down pretty good. There. Yeah, those were actually torqued down. So I'm guessing maybe somebody checked out the cylinder after the damage happened, because those bolts were not very tight. That's what the head nut should have felt like on there. Those are off. This one can come off. Those are all torqued down good. Is it held on by something else? That should come right off. There we go. I think it's stuck to this side. Huh. I think those studs are a little rusty. Let's see, pull that down a little bit. There we go. Cylinder's off. You can see the reeds right there. They look pretty new. All right, here's the piston. See if the rod is bad. Doesn't feel like the rod is bad. Oh yeah, look at that piston. The back side is all chewed up here. Yeah, check this out. So rings are completely stuck in there. It rubbed off part of the piston. That's what you see on the cylinder. So the back and the front both were worn down. See that? Our piston clip came off with our brass rod. Yeah, the pin wasn't stuck. Here it comes. Alright. Two little side washers there. Doesn't look like the piston skirt was damaged at all there. Telling the truth, is the rod still good? The rod bearing. Let's see. There's zero up and down play. Just a little side to side, so I think that rod bearing's fine. Here's the top end rod bearing. Little roller bearing there. Doesn't feel bad. Let's get a little lubrication on here. A little oil going down here. I don't think it's been oiled up in a while. I just want to kick it over and just see what it feels like. Yeah, I'm not feeling any up and down play at all. So luckily the rod is fine. That rust buildup in there is not great. Come on. There we go. Oh, what's this? Looks like paint. Huh. Oh. Bunch of coolant coming out. Looks like something broke here. Part of an O-ring around here. Let's see if the impeller is spinning with the engine here. Yeah, it is. So that was working. All right, let's take a look at the head first here. You can see the little grooves in it right there. From something, it almost looks like somebody took like a razor blade and was scraping that. I don't know, weird. But we're gonna have to sand down this head to make sure it's level and flat. But the head doesn't look horrible, definitely salvageable. Here's the piston, you can see it melted down on the back side. Even worse than the front here. But rings are completely stuck in there. Let's just measure the piston size here quick. Millimeters overbore it was here. So 70.5. And that's what it says on top of the piston here. It's 70/50. So that's what that means. So 70.5 millimeters is what that is. So let's see if that was a big bore. All right, so it is a big bore, but the stock size is 70 millimeters, so it's not a very big bore. It's just 0.5 millimeters overbore. So these are readily available for these machines, so we can just buy a new piston for it. That's not a big deal. So at least we have some room to play with in case we have to bore out the cylinder a little bit more. I think the biggest size they make is 72. So we're at a 70.5, so we still have some room. So if we wanted to take off a millimeter on the cylinder, we still can. So that is great news. So the cylinder has some piston damage here. So you can see that's all just from the piston melting down on it. These other lines I can't even get a fingernail in. So I think we can just hone this thing out. There's just remnants of piston on it. So I know a lot of people use acid with like a Q-tip to get all that piston off of there. We might have to do that if the hone doesn't take it off. But what I first want to do is run the hone through it and see if it takes that old piston off of there. Well, those were Loctited in. This one off. That one was a lot easier to get off than the other one. Those look pretty good. I'm not seeing any imperfections with those at all. All right, we've got our ball hone here. Get that set up with the drill. I'm gonna put a little oil down the cylinder here. Lube that up. Let's see what happens here. Yeah, it looks like we're gonna have to use some of that acid because it's not coming all off of there. Most of it's off. The rest of the cylinder looks really good. Just a couple spots have it still where that melted piston is. Quick show you guys what it looks like here. So we're left with a little spot there. And then a little spot right there. So you can just kind of feel it with your fingernail. But yeah, that's just raised. It's not dug into the cylinder at all. All right, next I want to take a peek at the carburetor. So let's go through this. You can see it's keyhen, seeing if there's any other markings on the carb. Here we go. So it says PWK S63A1 01R. So the S63A1 refers to a 36 millimeter carb, and you can check it by measuring the inside diameter of the intake side of the carb. You can see it's 36. So it is a 36 millimeter carb. Let me look up the stock one. But all that nasty gas came out of this carb, so it was sitting like that with water in the gas for a while, I think. We'll see if it was running lean. I did a little research, and we should have right around a 160 main in this carb. Look at all the gas coming out of it. Oh, hopefully you guys can see that. Let's see. Look how nasty that is. Ooh, there's definitely some gunk in there. It's not too bad. Get the float out. Pin came right out. Floats look good. Needle looks good. Main jet is a 170, so it was rejetted. Looks like. So 170 is on the richer end. And that plug did look pretty good too. Yeah, it's a pretty big jet. So there's the main jet. So that's good. All right. Pilot was clear and running a 50. So on the richer side for the pilot too. So I don't think that's why it was running lean. Choke appears to be working good. Let's quick take that out since we're in here. Yeah, that looks really good. Choke checks out. Then we can quick take a peek at the air screw. It's supposed to be 1.75 turns out. We are exactly 1.75 turns out. Wow, so that was accurate. So they had this thing jetted pretty much perfectly. That's what it seems like. Nothing wrong with that either. So I don't think it was the carb causing it to run lean. So there's really only a couple possibilities as to where this machine could have ran lean. So based on the plug color, it was not running lean before the incident happened. So it must have been jetted correctly. The carb jets look correct. So I don't think it was anything to do with the fuel or the carburetor or anything like that. The other possibility is that there was an intake leak by the boot, the manifold, where the carb sits, and that boot checks out. That looks really good. The clamps were down tight. I really don't think it was a leak coming from there either, because that all looked good. The other possibility is the left side crank seal on this machine. So over here, if that crank seal is bad or blown out, it will suck in air into the crankcase and cause this machine to run extremely lean. And that can happen because of just worn out seals. So to check that, we have to take off the cover over here, get the flywheel off and check behind there. And if we're gonna do that, we may as well take out the whole engine from the frame. It's not a very big engine and we can just go through the whole thing. I wanna kind of see what kind of clutch is in this thing. I wanna see if the crank bearings are okay and just go through the whole thing before we invest money into this thing and buy a brand new top end for it. Let's just go through the whole thing just to verify everything is correct. Try to get this clutch cable off of here. Just take the whole arm off. Okay, pop this guy off of here. got black and red, going to black and red, white and red, white and black, blue. These will budge here. That is on there. Holy. All right, that finally came off. It's definitely on there tight. It's got this little washer here. Let the chain dangle like that. The access to a nut. Let's see if this will come out. It's not stuck. Take the kickstart off. There we go. All right, before we go ahead and take the engine out, let's drain the oil, see if there's any metal flakes in there. Looks pretty clear coming out of there. So no coolant was mixing with the oil at all. It's not milky. So water pump seals should be fine. All right, oil looks pretty much brand new, so hopefully transmission is fine then. Not seeing any chunks, no metallic flakes. Looks good. All right, let's get the engine out of here. Alright, engine is officially out of the frame here. Let's start tearing into this thing. Let's see what kind of aftermarket clutch they put in. Alright, we're going to open up the clutch side first. If we can. Holy. What is going on with that? Alright, we're going to work on that for a little bit. That bolt is stuck. Well, that bolt snapped right off. That was definitely rusted on. Now we can get the cover off at least. Alright, water pump gear looks good. No damage to that. Alright, Alright, that looks like the stock clutch to me. That doesn't look like anything special in there. Clutch plates and everything look good there. Like that. The clutch basket can come off of here. In your clutch basket, it's a washer. You've got bearing up there. Kickstart mechanism coming out. Got the spring behind there, no washers. Is that a washer? Oh, it is a washer. So there's a washer in front of the spring like that. Shift shaft. I don't think it's bent. Is it? Oh, that might be bent a little bit. Alright, we first loosen up the counterbalance gear. And then we can do this one here, the crank gear. That was reverse thread. That's why that wasn't coming off right away. Good thing we didn't go any further with it. That was reverse. Reverse, normal. There's a washer behind there as well. So, little gear goes on first. Doesn't matter which way. Then the big gear, this end in. There's a little pin in there too. There's actually a Woodruff key in there. Has to come out. Behind here is the crank seal. Let's see if that's bad. There we go. So far it's not looking like it's bad. That crank seal looks pretty darn good in there. Yeah, looks really good. Counterbalance. You're coming off here. There's a washer behind there. What is this thing? Interesting. So that plate comes off. Doesn't matter which way that one goes. And here's your counterbalance. Wonder if that pin comes out of there too. There's another little woodruff key. Like that. It goes on there like that, flush. Let's start working on the left side. We'll get that stator off of there, the flywheel off. See what's going on with that side. One more. See if that crank seal is leaking. So that could have been the problem all along. We'll find out here soon enough. Ooh. Hoo hoo hoo. Look at all that in there. That looks a little rough. That looks like dried up gas, doesn't it? We'll see. All right, this one's spinning in. Holy cow, look at that. This is why we take it apart. Oh man. Yeah. I thought it was leaking, but that might just be the WD-40 we put in there. Alright, finally got these to come out. I had to cut slits in it with the Dremel, and they all budged, which was good, so we didn't have to cut those out. See if the stator plate can come out. There we go. Yeah, that is extremely crusty in there. I would be extremely surprised if that was not leaking past that crank seal. Look how rusty that is. So anytime rust is in there, you'll have like pitting between the crank and the crank seal. Yeah, that's pretty bad. I don't know if this thing's ever been rebuilt. Hopefully there's still a engine bolt kit available for these. Let's see if we can split them without using our tool here. Don't think so. spring. That spring was around here. Alright. So the spring was like that. Crank bearings are pretty rough looking in there. They're smooth, but yeah, it's a little bit rough. Here's the O-ring in between the cases there. Did it need an O-ring there? Yep. Okay, I can't remember to put that O-ring in. That was actually pinched between there. See if any gears are missing. All the teeth look good. All right, left side case here. Transmission bearings feel really good. Crank bearings a little noisy. So it'd probably be good to replace the crank bearings for sure. And then that crank seal in there has definitely seen better days. Definitely could have been leaking from there. Oh yeah, that had to have been leaking. There's no way that was sealing up. Because that was riding right here in the crank, and you can actually see rust right there too. So it's riding right there. Yeah, I highly doubt that was sealing. So that definitely could have caused it to run lean, sucking in air from the crank seal. And all around the crank seal is gross looking. All right, then here's the crank. This thing definitely needs to be cleaned up. This is the left side. You can see how much heavy rust was on that side. Not great. The rod bearing feels really good though. Everything's really nice and smooth in there. No up and down play. Just a little side to side. So crank checks out. We don't have to do anything with that except for, just clean it up a bit. Rod looks good, nice and straight. So we lucked out there. I'm sure cranks are not cheap. Well, we ended up paying $1,500 for this machine, and I never thought we'd have to do a full engine rebuild on it. So here we are, a couple hours later, with just a frame and some wheels. So the whole engine's sitting over here. We're gonna make up a list of parts for this thing. Right now, it's not a very long list. We've got a brand new piston on the list, a gasket kit, and bearings. And that's pretty much it. Everything else looked good. Clutch plates look good, clutch looked good. Oh, the shift shaft was a little bit bent. And you can actually see it. See that bend in there? So shift shaft, we're gonna add to that list as well. And, oh yeah, crank seals. So bearings, seals, gasket kit, shift shaft, and that's basically it. I mean, it wasn't too bad. And then some acid we need to get for the cylinder to take off that melted piston on there. Then we can hone it out and we should be good. The rest of the machine looks really good. A-arms are good, tires are good, wheels are good, chain and sprockets look good, all the brakes work, brand new grips, all the cables are free, frame looks good. So really, we just have to spend some money rebuilding the engine, and then I think what we're gonna do is look for some rear plastics for it. The front ones are fine for now. If we can find blue rear plastics for it, we'd be golden. If not, we're gonna have to buy a whole new set of plastics and put those on there. So possibly a seat cover, possibly plastics, and then the engine. So overall, did I pay too much for this thing? I don't know if I did. These things sell for $2,500 to $3,000, especially with all the modifications done to this thing. all day long in my area. So, we probably were at the very top of the price I'd pay for this, needing a full engine rebuild. But yeah, overall, I think it'll be worth it in the end. We'll have a really, really nice quad once this thing's all rebuilt and put back together. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this one, picking up the 1985 Suzuki Lt250r, diagnosing the problem, going through the whole engine, tearing it down, and going through that whole process. I think the problem was the right side crank seal. I think that was allowing air to be sucked in, causing this engine to run lean. That's my theory. But yeah, could have been a couple different things, but I think it leads to that. That whole side was filled with, that whole side cover was filled with a bunch of old gas. Like gas was leaking into the crankcase out the seal and drying up there. So I'm guessing the crank seal is leaking, sucking in air, causing this machine to run lean. It overheated, the piston melted to the cylinder, and that's what caused this machine to fail. So that's my theory. What do you guys think? Leave your comments down below. Next video, we will be rebuilding this thing and hopefully taking it for the first ride. So stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for subscribing, and until next time, we are out.